Hey friends, it's me, Erin, your friendly neighborhood energy alchemist, and today is Thursday, February 27th. It's the 27th all day. All right, you guys, let's get into the chart. This started at about noon Central Time yesterday and has still been going on. This is really, really high. Normally this is down around 7.32, and here we're almost a full cycle higher. And this is our magnetosphere. Notice anything missing? All right, so I'm going to tell you what my guides told me, and you have to do with that what you want. I sometimes get uncomfortable sharing this stuff because if people don't agree with me, then they say all kinds of mean things. But I'm just going to tell you what I heard, and I'm going to be very clear about it. Now, the night before last, I had a dream about an old man with 2 clocks. I talked about that in my last video. And last night, he was in my dream again with the same 2 clocks. And then he took 1 clock and put it on his shelf, and he took the other clock and he hung it around his neck, and he showed me that they were separate. And then he started walking away from the other clock, and as he did, the times that the 2 clocks were keeping were no longer synced up. So when I asked about this, I said, what is this? Of course, he didn't speak to me. He just kept pointing and showing 1 here and 1 here, and then 1 here and 1 here. And as he was doing that, I had an image of 2 pieces of very fine, thin film sort of peeling away from them. So then he was showing me that he literally showed me this graph, not this, but this graph. And he pointed at the clock on his chest, and he showed me that I am seeing more of the awakened collective. And then he showed the clock on the tower, on the bookshelf, and he said something to the effect of, that's not on this anymore. I know it sounds disjointed and weird, but literally what he was telling me is that the awakened timeline and the non-awakened timeline have separated. That's what this is the coming, like the separation, the peeling apart of those two here. He told me it's going to last for a little bit and that it's not going to be very comfortable. He also was sure to tell me that it doesn't mean anyone's being left behind. It's just the 2 timelines are going to start to diverge more than they have been. Up until this point, they've been running very parallel, almost like having a glass wall between them, just like Bashar says. Now that glass wall has gotten very thick and they're pushing each other away. So what does that mean? Well, it means when I'm giving Schumann resonance updates, I'm talking about the collective awakened from now on. And that doesn't mean that people in the non-awakened collective will be affected, but it just means that the report I'm giving, I'm only seeing the one for the awakened collective because that's the one I'm dealing with. It also means that you may feel radically different than some of your friends or family that are not awakened. You may be noticing and feeling and seeing more and more things that push you towards the spiritual side of your life, while they are seeing more and more things that are dragging them down into the material side of life. That's the duality of this universe. So when you see these things becoming more and more obvious, it is a sign of these 2 timelines really pulling apart from each other. This does not mean that anyone's going to disappear or you're not going to be able to talk to these people. It just means it's more of an effort to make that make them or what they're doing part of your lives. I'm struggling with my words today. So you have to take that for what it is, but I'm telling you, that's what my guides are telling me, is that the timelines are dividing for real. They're separated. The awakened timeline is going to be different than the non-awakened timeline, and that doesn't mean that we're going to have big crazy things happen. No, but it does mean that the way you feel on a daily basis is going to be different. It's going to be less material centered, more spiritual centered, more about you and moving forward and growth and knowledge, and less about fighting and division and all of that. This has gotten to a point where it had to break, and now it's broken. Doesn't mean anyone on the unawakened timeline isn't invited. It just means they have to make the choice to awaken. Physical symptoms for this have been all over the place. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say they have headaches. This is probably why you have headaches. Every time our magnetosphere gets like this, it really makes headaches or people who are susceptible to migraines much more prevalent in the system. For me, I actually made a list of everything that happened because it was so bizarre. At about 3 o'clock, I went from being super energized and ready to go for the day to nearly drained of energy. And then my neck started to hurt, right? In the back of my neck started to hurt, and it moved all the way down to the top of my shoulders. Once it got there, it's like my body didn't want to function, and I actually ended up going to bed really, really early because I almost couldn't keep my eyes open. And I had extremely active dreams until I hit the dream with the old man. That seemed to move in slow motion. And after that, I don't remember any other dreams, even though I woke up from that dream at about 2:30 this morning. Then when my husband and I went to dinner last night, we saw a very bright star in the westerly sky that was so bright we could see it while the sun was still out. He pulled out his star tracker app and tried to figure out what it was. Couldn't find it. It was nothing, but it was something. And then this morning I woke up and things are in different places in my room. We had dinner reservations for tonight that when they called us to confirm our reservation this morning, it was for a different restaurant, and I had the paper with the other one written down, and she said, oh no, it's always been this one, but they wrote it down. So things are a little strange. Just be mindful that you are not getting drawn into arguments or pulled out of your integrity today. That's important. All right, here's our cards for today. The Wheel of Fortune has spun around and it is favoring us, friends. We are starting to go through some major changes that are going to bring back some empowerment and equilibrium to us as the Awakened Collective. In order to take advantage of this, you are going to need to focus on yourself, even though you might feel selfish. I need you to remember that it's important to be selfish. That's the only way to give the best version of yourself to anyone else. So please pay attention to what you need and do those things, and have compassion above all else for yourself. This time may be bumpy and rumpy and all kinds of weird, but be compassionate to yourself and allow space for growth. All right, so we are going to set our intentions and ground ourselves for the day. Are you ready? Because I am. Let's do it. Take a nice big deep breath in. Release. Drop your shoulders, and just remember that today is the start of a brand new day. This is a new timeline for you, a new timeline for the collective. Let's work together on this, okay? Let's do it. Today's a great day. It's a great day.